in this
Thank
computer.
you.
All right. First things is
You're not going to take a picture first.
oh my God, you're amazing. I was going directly to the work mode. We lost a contributor. So, okay, everyone, smile. Ed, you're here. Smile also. There you go. There you are. Counts before we take the photo. So hold on. Let me make sure that we look presentable. Okay. Now, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay. So, Steve, do you want to do the, yeah, can you do the presentation of today? Like say September 23rd and go for it.
Okay, so I'm just sharing the screen. Is it visible?
Yes, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. You need to start sharing your email, actually. It went through, I imagine no one will bother you, but can you click on the upper right side, the OK, so your email is not shown?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, and if you can make the words a little bit bigger, that would be great.
Is it visible now?
Perfect. Go for it. Introduce the call.
Okay, so that's pretty heavy responsibility on the first call.
You know,
okay, so
there's only 8 of us here, but it is recorded, so everyone will watch us. At least 1,000 people. Don't be nervous.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, okay, okay. So this is September 23rd. Ask me anything. Yes. So friends present. We have Emilia Iaves, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Just say the name. You don't have to even say this part.
You don't have to announce everybody. You can just say what we're here.
Yeah, let's go to the agenda and say Friends of Jakarta. That's it.
Okay, right. Friends of Jakarta. So David, update on Jakarta EE9 release.
Go
and
ahead.
We have.
And then you stop there. Just we go by.
Okay.
Okay.
That's how that's gonna work. So I was not aware I was presenting anything until.
You're not presenting. I didn't know who else was going to show up from the Jakarta side, and we need an update on the 9 release. What's going on?
That's fine. I'll tell you what I know. This is just me very informal. So Steve, I don't know if you can like put this, grab that, click on that spreadsheet so it's shared. I put it in chat. Oh, it's hard to see chat while you're sharing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's up there somewhere in the. Good job.
This right.
You found it much faster than I normally find it. Okay. So these are all the specifications that have to go up for ballot. And our situation right now is that everything that you see there marked as done, those have completed ballot. Everything marked as yes, I believe, is coming up for ballot or in ballot currently. So like, for example, servlet and EL, expression language, those are in ballot currently. But we actually have a little bit of a drought coming up that there are no other specifications coming up for ballot soon. Like this, like right this week, probably. And so we had like a lot of progress where there was a lot of specifications coming up, completing their PR process, getting approved and put up for ballot. And now we have nothing for at least the next several days. So we have to fix that. We need some help on some of these specifications. And I noticed when I was reviewing, for example, Jakarta transactions. So I don't know if everyone knows how we're managing the release of these different specifications. Maybe I can talk a bit about that. Probably because I'm starting in the middle for those of you who aren't familiar. So ultimately what we have to do is, Steve, if you want to scroll to the right just a bit, past the notes. Okay, click on one of those specification links. Okay, so our process is basically every specification has to create this PR, a PR like this one. And what that PR does is basically puts the specification, HTML and PDF into a commit. It puts the Java doc into a commit. And that commit is against the specifications repository, which is the thing that is responsible for the data on the Jakarta EE/specification section of the website. So if you go to, like jakarta.ee/specifications, you're going to see all the data, about the different specifications, such as here's their TCK, here's their specification, PDF and HTML, the Java doc. The data went up for, who voted on it, and all that information is available on the jakarta.ee website. And as part of a specifications, process of getting complete, it has to prepare that data that goes in the website. And so what we're doing is basically trying to get all these specifications to make this PR, to get the PR complete. See, there's a bunch of check boxes on this. And then to go up for vote. Once they go up for vote and they pass the vote, then we merge this PR. We actually click the publish button on any binaries staged in Nexus so they can go to Maven Central. And then we actually click another link to digitally sign the TCK zip file so everyone knows it's the official one. So that's the high level view. And so we have a lot of PRs. You can go back to the spreadsheet now. So we have a lot of PRs that we have to take a look at, and they're all in various stages. And a lot of these specifications aren't up for vote yet because they're missing certain things, like they haven't promoted their TCK, or maybe they've got a PR in their own project that's pending. They generally need, or they just need somebody on the mailing list saying, hey, why aren't we doing anything this week? Now, that last statement sort of kind of painted everybody as like not doing anything. It's not the case. What I noticed, for example, in the transactions specification, Jakarta transaction specification, they had a PR open for almost a month for changes to the specification that no one reviewed because there's just not a lot of people on the project. So there's only like 26 people subscribed to the mailing list. And when there is somebody there doing work, there aren't any other people there to review PRs. And so it stayed there. So one of the things that would be really, really helpful is if people could go to the individual specifications listed here and see if there are any open PRs. And if there are, just sort of take a look at them. You don't actually have to be a committer on the project to review PRs that are open against the specifications. In fact, Hussein, who's here in the call, he's done at least 15 PRs for the EJB spec, quite a lot. And so, he can attest firsthand how much you can get done, even though you're not yet a committer. So we need.
Sorry,
yeah.
Let me interject here. So Hussein is helping in that API. I have a question.
In EJB, yeah.
EJB, so yes. So Hussein, what is stopping you from voting in the mailing list when you are helping the API move forward? I have seen only one vote coming from web type Greg all this time since we started Jakarta E9 release. My curiosity is, what is stopping non-committers from voting in the mailing list? We need more of that. If you do work, you have that. Hussein, for you.
Go ahead.
You mean the ballot specification ballot voting?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's welcome.
Only for the participant members, and so that is why I'm not adding any vote on.
For some reason, Hussein, we cannot hear you. Maybe it's my internet. Can everyone hear Hussein?
It would chop.
It cuts a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, Hussein, can you try again, please?
Okay. So the ballot voting, I was under the assumption that it was only for the participant members. They had to vote the named people. So that is why I was not looking into it mostly.
Hmm. Can we, Ed or someone else that is not David, can we clarify to Hussein and everyone else here, like Steve, everyone, what's the methodology for voting? If you
So,
were,
yeah, so the voting is, there are elected representatives for participant members, and I have to remember all the classes of voters. So generally, the elected members get they cast the vote for the group that they represent, right? So we always accept any vote that gets posted to the list. So if somebody had something to say about a particular ballot, we would welcome that feedback. But the votes that count are the ones from the members that are actually detailed in the specification committee. So if you go look at the specification committee about page, you'll that'll show you who your representatives are and or who are the strategic member representatives. Do you want me to find that page?
I think we got that, but the idea is that you are correct. Only there's like the votes that are formal by the 10 members that are part of the specification, but also the community that helps and the PRs and then the IPIs and then the projects, they can vote themselves and they will be listed, but not the count. The vote doesn't count as one of the 10, but it's important to get that feedback. That is what we were trying to amplify. And I don't think we have done a good job explaining that, because we have had one vote and we have been working on Jakarta E9 for months. So what can we do? Do we need to write a blog? Do we need to tweet about it? Do we need to use the Jakarta E media to say, if you're helping on the APIs, you can vote. We need to hear from you. Something like this. What can we do to make this known?
So the API teams can decide how they want to organize, right? They can, I mean, I think at this point, we're pretty much just operating on, we need, everybody's pedaling as fast as they can. We're just trying to get the work done. Yeah. If there are objections, the teams can, they're welcome to have those discussions and decide how they want to handle any objections. I don't think there has been any dissent or anything like that lately. Has there?
No.
Nope.
I think everybody's welcome to, to summarize what Ed said earlier about, everybody can vote, just the specification committee of member votes are the ones that count for making a spec of final. Apache has the same rule. For example, when you vote on a release, it's actually not the committer votes that make the release final, it's the PMC votes. So they have a similar sort of tiered perspective where, it's actually the PMC who legally represent Apache. And so a project may have 50 committers, but 15 people on the actual PMC. The 15 people represent Apache legally in the purpose of releasing software. And so their votes are the ones that count towards the requirements of making a release. But that doesn't mean that other people can't vote and shouldn't vote. In fact, Apache really likes that everybody vote, even if you're not even a committer. So it's clear what the will of the community is. And I think a similar situation is here, where even though you don't have a binding vote because you're not on the specification committee, you should still vote and you should still review and should still participate, because it does help make it obvious that we're all aligned, right? That everybody agrees that this thing is ready to go. An example of that is, for example, when we were trying to do plans for the Jakarta E9 release, and we weren't quite certain on whether or not we wanted to include JAX-B and JAX-WS in the JavaX to Jakarta namespace change, right? a lot of the vendors, and ourselves included, were leaning towards, okay, you know, maybe we just leave it in Java X and we can migrate it to Jakarta in the future. That's less work. But the overwhelming majority of the community said, we should change this from Java X to Jakarta. And because those votes came in, that changed all the vendor votes. We're like, all right, if it means this much to the community, then we should just do it now. So that's an example of, you know, how people expressing their voice does impact things. And since this is a very historic release, this is like the first release under the Jakarta namespace, everybody should vote. And, you know, for example, when EJB ballot goes up for vote, Hussein, you should definitely cast a vote because you did so much work on it. It would be a shame not to see a vote from you, you know, so that would be really fantastic. Anyway, so that's my perspective on it. I don't know if it fits what other people think, but it's how I.
Yeah, my overall feedback, as you mentioned, is every time we have been doing some releases on the Apache side of the fence, we identify that people are not specifically part of a PMC, they vote +1 or -1, and they provide the feedback, and that feedback is really helpful. And otherwise, I think if we didn't encourage people to vote, they weren't eager to actually review what is on the table for voting. So it's an inclusive way to engage people to actively review in this case, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes anybody feel more encouraged. I hope.
Hussein, what do you think? And someone else that is a contributor, not a part of the specification committee, what do you think about this feedback today?
Yeah, I'll definitely look forward to looking into the specifications that come up for vote, and you'll be seeing my vote soon.
That's fantastic. Okay, so in ways to help these specification projects, I would say look at the PRs that are in this list and, you know, see if there's anything, and it's okay to actually just ask on the PR, you know, is there any way I can help? That's useful too. Don't worry about, you know, getting in the way because there's just a lot of people who are waiting on a lot of people, and a lot of people who things are not moving so fast that you offering to help is going to annoy anybody. So any attention from the community is really, really useful. So I don't know what kind of, you know, last thing I would just say is our deadline has shifted to November 20th. So that's the date we need to get the platform ballot completed in the, you know, it's got to be up for a vote 2 weeks before and completed by November 20th.
So
and there's a lot of things that can't go up for vote until the platform specification goes up for vote or, you know, near that time. So, you know, so we're going to have at least like 5 specifications going up for vote in the very middle of November. So we don't want more than we have to going up for vote at that late. We want as much to be cleared between now and October as we possibly can.
and how many specifications are part of the Jakarta 9 release?
Everything listed on this page.
Yeah, but do we gonna do countdown? Is it 36?
I'll scroll the end. It's like 30, 36.
No, because then
30, 35 because of the header.
Let's see the upper side. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that would be 35.
Yeah.
So I'll just put a plug in the one in any of the specs that say no in in column D. Those are the ones I think we could use the most help in.
I have a question about this page. Why is it that the page doesn't link the Git page? I know that we can go.
Well, I mean, there's the PR right there.
Okay, perfect. I was thinking, where is the PR when we were looking at the other side, the right side? Okay, so the page, can we add this page to the minutes? I think we should retweet it with it, hopefully with the Jakarta media, so that, you know, we need to bring, my recommendation is like, we should be, everyone that is working in the PRs should, or at least some of us that know, we should tweet about it to bring attention more often. This link has not, like, can we share it via the Jakarta Working Group forum as a reminder? This will be added to the minutes.
Sure, I think I have before, but
not enough. Like, I think
okay.
it's helpful.
Well, if it's totally welcome. You know, that's the whole goal of this call, is to try and get as many people helping as possible. The standard situation is that when we're in release mode and a lot of this stuff comes up, there's some knowledge transfer, but generally more time spent on trying to get the release out the door than we spend on transferring knowledge. And so, you know, people don't want to, like I say, people don't want to get in the way, but the release would go out a lot faster if we had more people in the way. So, you know, it's like one of those things that you got to try and fix somehow.
So then you are taking the task of sending this to the community and working group forum. That link is
well, it's on video, so if people want to watch the video, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll include the links in the minutes, and you know, hopefully people do watch this, and hopefully people do try to become involved. And I understand this is not enough. This is very little information, considering how much information you really need to get involved. But it is okay just to sort of show up and say, I want to help. What can I do? That's a fine question. You can post that on the spec list. You can post it on, you know, let me see if I can get together a list of mailing lists that are really important for getting releases out the door.
That's great. And can
Hi. Sorry to interrupt, but my screen has actually went blank. So I'm not able to see anything right now.
It's perfect. We can see the Jakarta 89 Inspect Mentor assignment and ballot progress. Can you move it back into the minutes so that we can go to the next step? We can see it perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot see anything at all. So I'm not sure what's happening.
Stop sharing and then try again, maybe.
Yeah. Welcome to sharing. That is what happens with Zoom. Consuming your machine.
My screen has absolutely went blank.
It's perfect.
It's on, but screen has went blank. I'm not sure how I will stop sharing.
Okay.
I think we'll need to force the stop sharing before he
is that possible?
Can someone just override?
Yeah, it says you cannot start screen sharing while the other participant is sharing.
Oh.
I'll see if I can kind of do anything, but I can't do it either, so I'm the host.
Yeah, it doesn't let me. Hold on for me a second. If this will start, yeah, let's see.
Maybe drop real quick and then rejoin if that's possible.
Amelia, you should be able to drop to cancel his share.
It says this will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? And I said continue. Yes. But then it asked me to share a screen here. Hold on.
Yeah, just share for a moment.
Yeah, I will share for a moment. Can you see it?
There you go.
Okay, right. So I have now option to leave on my touch bar. So I'll just leave and come back in a minute. Sorry for all the trouble.
No, you're doing fantastic. That is what happens when we do stuff. We get to see the struggle. The struggle is really only for the doers. Okay, so while Steve is managing this,
and we should put Stephen Hussein in the attendee list in the top.
He needs to do it himself. I just shared the minutes. Everyone here, please add your names to the mailing list, to the
list of attendees in the top.
Yeah, we have only we're missing. So please add your names. You know, we just talked about Jakarta 89, and a question for everyone here who is involved in this release. We have something, I saw something come in for Jakarta helping Jakarta E10. I haven't seen that contribution, that contributors wiki or whatever it is. So how do we how do we see the Jakarta E9 impact Jakarta E10, that is the first release from this project to contain features? Because we're not documenting enough. What's going to happen there? What are the considerations that we need to consider, that we need to think about for those contributors that are not helping now, but will help on the 10 because they want to only work on features?
Well, I admit that every time someone talks about we can't ignore Jakarta E10, my reaction is, if I had more bandwidth, Jakarta E9 would go a lot faster.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is the people interested in features. They shouldn't be thinking major release. They should be think features in their component specification. So if you have some cool stuff you want to do with the servlet, then start doing that, start discussing that. But be aware that many people will be busy with the 9 release, but that doesn't mean that you cannot start doing things, discussing things, creating issues, creating pull requests, branching off and do the stuff. So you will be able to actually do a new release of servlet pretty soon after E9 is out, because it doesn't need to hang on a big platform release. We want these specs to evolve individually. So start discussing, start work on it, create issues, pull requests, try it out.
But, and Ivar, do you see an improvement in the mailing lists? Because what I see in the specs is that the mailing lists from each API, they're not growing, though momentum is happening with Jakarta E10 on the potential for features. I don't see those lists growing. So what do we think about, where are those conversations happening? Or are they happening? Where?
I'm not sure if there are many discussions going on outside of the mail list. I know the document you referred to, the email from Will, where he replied to the ambassadors, because the ambassadors has had some good discussions and some good feedback, and in that document they point to the issue trackers. So if you have a feature you want to do, then get the discussions in there where people can see it. So it's important to use the mailing list for the project and the issue tracker. I think if there are discussions going on elsewhere, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they are happening without anybody knowing it. So it's better to bring it in where everybody can see it.
Excellent feedback. Anyone else that have any feedback for Jakarta E10? Because E9 needs help, and everyone is waiting for the features. But if everyone there will jump into now, they will be so ready to help with 10 even faster. That is what David said, right, David?
I'm on mute. The
Yes.
sooner we get Jakarta E9 out the door, the faster we can get to fun stuff in 10. So,
anyone else has anything to say before we go to the fun side of TCK work?
I have questions for Scott, so I'm anxious to do that.
Okay, Hussein, any questions on Jakarta E10 and what we see missing? Do you have anything that you would like to be answered, or are you curious about anything?
No, I haven't got anything. I want E9 to get released first.
Yeah.
Yep. You're like there. Okay, so many of you know, if you are added, if you have subscribed to the Jakarta TCK, today as of yesterday, we had, the mailing list had 95 subscribers. So Scott, remember over a month ago when the conversations started and there were only 80? Well, today there are 15 plus. extra from those conversations. So applause to everyone who is working on that. If we gain 1 subscriber every single time we do something, that is a win for the project. Okay, so Scott, do you want to take it in here? Because last Friday we were not in the call and we saw the minutes, but it was interjected. So Cesar, you, a few others were there. Can you tell us what went down?
Yeah, I'll briefly say that I learned an important lesson about Zoom. If you share your Zoom calls and passwords on Twitter or Facebook or other social media, it's easy to search for Zoom and PWD keywords, and you can find all kinds of community Zoom calls. But that's all I'll say about that. Wait till after to tweet about it. It's one thing we learned, or post on Facebook or whatever. But yeah, so from that call, we started. We had a presentation. We started doing a demo, and then the call got hacked. And it's weird. On Sunday, I practiced the demo, which was updated, and it worked fine. Come Monday, we're going to record it again, and the demo didn't work anymore, which is great to have a live demo that doesn't work so you can fix it. But anyways, we'll get the demo recorded soon. I think it'll be good because we're going to, we'll show what goes into making a TCK test change or a challenge because you think a TCK test is wrong, and kind of making a TCK change locally and running that TCK test and evaluating how the test corresponds to JavaDoc or spec requirements, and just evaluating whether or not that test change that you think you want to make is right. So that's going to be done. We will have that once I get my local machine working again with that test. So look forward to that. Today. Oh, yep. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Scott. I want to interject and just say that for those of you that did not know, over a month ago we started. We met for the first time. It was maybe 3 weeks ago. I can't remember anymore. But we started the thread. Ed started the thread, and then Scott got in. I got in. And then we discovered that there's so much documentation that needs to happen because the TCK is open. So then we realized that the community needs to come together to maybe in a few calls. And then it went from there that we are meeting every Friday at 9 to 10 PDT time. And the call is open. We did have some issues last Friday. So we need to find a way to secure those calls. But the calls, I think, will need to continue to happen. And one of the main things that we found out is that we will use Git pages for the wiki that we have started, and the votes is going. So anyone here, we can add we need to add the forum for the vote so that we can move forward. I think we can move forward already, but the documentation has not started. We have done like a skeleton job. And then one of the major things that we found out is that the demos, code demos need to happen related to the TCK. Scott is one of the best equipped to do so because he has been working on the TCK with his teams since 2013, right, Scott?
On Wildfire, for Red Hat, and I was thinking about it. Years ago at Silverstream, I actually used an early version of the TCK. I don't know if it was 1.2 then or whatever, but that was like many years ago.
You worked at Silverstream? That's crazy.
I did. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But I was asked to get the TCK working, running, and I went to do it, and I got it installed and got all the make programs and everything going, and I got to a point where I need a deployer. I need a Porden layer, and I went to our architect and said, "Hey, any idea how we can create this?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And he did the Porden layer, which was great. And so I was kind of like, I was done with my initial task with that. And then, many years later at Red Hat, I took over, running the TCK for Wildfly, which has been great. And, now doing all, we're all working together on Jakarta EE platform TCK, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's going really well.
So the questions that I have on the TCK, I think maybe it'll take 5 minutes.
Great.
So I really just wanted to, we can put it at the end after your planned stuff.
Okay. All right.
So I just wanted to know about the assertions so that I can actually do what Lance was asking for.
Great. I thought, over the last week, we've been working on some of the technologies that have been made optional in EE9, like JAXB and full platform.
Scott, do you want me to stop sharing so you can share? I think that would be
great. Yeah, I'm just going by. I don't have anything. I just have the.
I thought if you want to, let me know if you need anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did include links, but I don't need to open them. So, and anyways, so I'm learning all about using keyword properties in the TCK to exclude or include tests that you're running. So for example, like for RMI IOP, we want to exclude. Sorry, okay. Let me start from the beginning there on that. So for EE9, we no longer require interoperability, and as a result, the Java SE8 Java RMI classes are no longer expected or required to be used in EE9 as a result. And for that reason, they're not in the Jakarta namespace and all that. That has an impact on how we test things like connector. In the example I mentioned here, we have some use of Java RMI classes, and the dilemma is we need a way to make
Did we lose Scott? Scott.
I think we lost Scott for just.
Yes.
Yeah, we lost you.
Unless he's really, really thinking about that next word.
Yeah, he's not in mute. Scott, we lost you.
Yeah, well, he won't be able to hear us.
Can someone, I cannot chat, so can someone send him a chat and via chat to say that we cannot hear him? I think he still thinks we can hear him because he's not muted.
I'm sure he's still talking and telling us some amazing things.
Yes. Well, while we wait for him, Cesar, you were on the call last week. Do you have anything to say? The videos.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was talking and suddenly the screen just went, just kind of went, disappeared. So anyways, the keywords are a way to enable or disable a particular test for like optional technologies. And in the case of RMI, these are tests that are not really optional. These are tests that are something that you may want to run just to make sure those tests still work. But these are technologies that aren't even in EE9 anymore. But we're using keyword properties as a way, as a mechanism to let you still run like the RMI IOP test, or to run some tests that use those technologies that are in Java SE. so you can still test your code. So we're keeping some functionality in there. So, you know, along down this path of using keyword properties, we have noticed some inconsistencies as well. Like for tests that are using RMI IAOP or RMI, we noticed that we were, you know, currently, enabling those tests if someone was testing web pro, you know, specified like Java EE or web profile keywords, and we decided, hey, you know, if you're if you want to run the EE, the full platform or the web profile, you may not want to run these tests. So instead, we're updating those RMI tests or tests that use RMI to be more explicit, and you have to actually say opt in to do the RMI IOP technology. So just a little bit of background about what we're been doing the last week or so in changes. We also have been discussing the whether to use the GitHub pages or the wiki for things that change frequently. And for things that change frequently, it may still be easier to use the wiki for some things like the TCK status is the feedback that I've been getting. I didn't get that on the mailing list, but it is feedback that I did get from from further conversations. So I think it might be interesting to have some things only in wiki that are frequently updated, but pushing a lot of things, to GitHub pages still. That's my opinion. So I think that's something we'll look for input on as well.
Scott, let me interject here. So you're saying that we should have both the wiki, but I am confused. Should the wiki doesn't allow for contributors that do not have access, commit access to help. So how will that be helpful at all to the project? We need PRs to fix what it is and adjust. And if we use the wiki, we're closing the circle of how good the documentation will potentially be. This is why we moved into pages. Am I confusing? Am I misunderstanding you here?
So the thing is every week we update the TCK status, and the person doing it may barely have time to update the TCK wiki page. They probably don't have time to every week update a GitHub page to make a change, a frequent change. That's what I'm saying. So it's I think for something like that, where one person is mostly updating that page, I think it's kind of an exception. I think we should default to the GitHub pages still, like we all talked about before. So that should be where we focus, and we should, in my opinion, we should still do that. I don't want to prevent someone who makes frequent changes to a status page from doing that, because that's, given the choice, if the only way to do that is through GitHub pages and they don't have time, then does that mean we lose the regular TCK status updates because they're just not going to have time to keep up to it? So that there's a trade-off there. There's a lot there, so we still have a lot of duplication. I think we should push ahead to the GitHub pages for most other content. That's my opinion. Open to others if there's other, if there's other variations of other things that should still be on the wiki. But to me, I think personally, I'm okay with the status page staying on the wiki. So that's my feedback on that. Any concerns about TCK status page?
Yeah, I think Cesar is thinking. Cesar, am I pushing you under the bus?
No, the thing is that when you start, Amelia, when you start asking about, if there is a blocker right now for people who wants to contribute and update the stuffs on the documentation, that barrier was removed a couple of weeks ago when Ed did the PR for actually enabling the GitHub pages. So based on my understanding, anyone can send a PR with an update to any of that documentation, including a status of TCK results or any other stuff, and it's just a matter for the committers from that project to approve the PR to get merged. Obviously, there is a step there that is that the contributor needs to have an Eclipse account and have signed the ECA. But apart from that, I don't see currently a blocker in that regards about updating the documentation of TCK as overall.
So last time, and this is on the TCK Friday call, David demoed how to do so, and it wasn't recorded, and it took 3 minutes. David, do you want to do the demo right now that is recorded so that we can start the documentation, the contribution, or do we wait and you create a demo and populate it on the private? What's going on? Because
no, I'm happy to do it in another call because we only have 10 minutes left. And
you want to talk? Do you want to send your questions?
Well, I did want to try to, while Scott was talking about the RMI and various things, I did want to clarify some points that are very, very confusing, and want to make sure that we were maybe not being too aggressive with our removal / optional work. So RMI, JavaX RMI is not removed. So the statement was made that it was removed. Any usage of JavaX RMI was removed from EE9. It is not the case. JavaX RMI is different than Corba. Corba has been removed. The requirement for Corba has been removed from the platform entirely. And so anything that references the old, org, OMG, orb class, or anything of that, line, that's been removed. Mm-hmm. RMI, what's confusing is that RMI IOP has been used the entire time of the specification to refer to this concept that your protocol cannot interfere with either RMI or IOP. So it became this concatenated thing to kind of like refer to both of those technologies, such that, if you're going to write a server, you can use any protocol you want, but that protocol needs to be able to support objects that would serialize over RMI or IOP. Mm-hmm. So you can't go against those. So we do have interop tests that those should get removed. They've never been part of the web profile, so I'm very curious what issues we see in the web profile that would actually require any action at all. And so if there's something there, maybe we are overstepping a bit. In terms of looking for any usages of the package JavaX RMI and saying that is a test that should be removed, that would be false, because the EJB remote support, which is optional, not removed, does require the package JavaX RMI.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we should review the tests that we're making optional on the RMI IOP keyword, and make sure that we don't include tests that are using they're not using JRMNP necessarily, but just they're including Java XRMI. I guess I didn't look at them closely at the test.
Yeah, so basically there's a suite of tests that need to be made optional and a suite of tests that are removed entirely. So anything Corba that requires a Corba orb to pass, that is removed.
Yep.
So that's all the interop. sections of the test suite that require a Corba orb to pass. Those,
Yeah.
Those are removed. Anything
Yeah.
that requires RMI is simply optional because it's probably going to be tied to the EJB remote interface tests.
Mm-hmm.
Those are we still need those tests, but they're optional.
Scott, I wrote something.
And they shouldn't be in the web profile either because remote EJBs were never part of the web profile.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't see anything from web profile perspective that would have need changing. So we should probably look at that really carefully. Does this get discussed on like a platform call or something?
No, this is an open pull request that we're working on completing and just making changes, and it's adapted a few times. And let me get the
the PR number.
Let me get the PR and we can add it.
Yeah. So Scott, can you adjust this part because it says Corva and RM, and we will send a copy paste of the minutes with the link.
I already adjusted the language. I did that on purpose just to see if it would confuse anybody.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose. I was just trying to generically discuss.
No, I think it's fine.
I think it's very good because we caught a potential mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And let me add in.
Yes. We have 5 minutes to go before the specification call happens for a few of you. So, does anyone has questions? I remember you wanted to ask some questions. Scott can you still be talking about the TCK because there's so much work. Ed is here with the TCK also. So, do you want to take and ask the question?
Well, the question, so Lance had mentioned that I needed to improve the assertions for the tests. I tried to add, we tried to add a test to make sure that at schedule can be used in a repeatable fashion.
Mm-hmm.
There's no implementation work associated with that as we covered in the PR. But Lance did mention that I should fix or improve or add an assertion. I don't know what assertions do and what I'm supposed to be doing if I add an assertion, and I don't know where to go for help. I mean, I know where to go for help. I can ask the list, but I don't know if there's a document.
Yeah, let's see.
So assertions are, we've always been trying to follow the OMG assertion process, which says, there's a repeatable link between what you've written in the specification and what you're actually testing. So assertions are derived from either the Java docs or the specification text. In the case of Java docs, we have some automation for pulling those assertions out and capturing them in an XML file. That XML file is then used to generate the assertions HTML pages that come with each spec. Right. Okay. So I guess what Lance is saying is there doesn't appear to be an assertion either from the written spec XML file or from the Java docs that covers the test case that you'd like to add.
Okay.
So in the case of pulling assertions out of the specifications, it's a very manual process. So those if you look at the assertion lists for all the specifications, you'll generally find that the assertions from the Java docs is much more. It's a much richer set. And then they create a coverage doc, which I believe maps the assertions that are pulled out of those documents to the actual tests. And that's what they count as coverage, the ratio of the number of assertions versus the tested assertions. Okay, so it's not actually a coverage as in a code coverage.
Right. Who's sharing? Can I share for just a second? We got just 2 minutes left.
We could cover this on a Friday meeting. Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, so I have the assertions. This is like the EJB spec assertion. I pulled it from this location of the TCK. So I guess having a walkthrough of this that's recorded would be super fantastic if it's something that we'll be asking people to do when they add tests to TCKs. So some understanding of this file and I guess it kind of looks self-explanatory.
So this is there's an assertion. There's some documentation on the wiki about how to generate these.
Okay. Or when it's manual, what it is that what it is that you got to do.
Right. We can walk through that. I've never made one of these, so I'm not sure that I would be the right person to demonstrate it. But
right.
I can give some input on these. Bean validation has done it automatically from the ASCII doc. So you put the assertions in as a code word in the ASCII doc, and you just use an XSL transformation to generate this file. And we do the same with MVC, so it's actually automated from the spec document.
You can do that, but it's still a manual effort to put that assertion into the specification document, and not all specifications have that.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of a job to put them in there, but once you have them there, the tooling, the Maven can just handle it to generate the file for you and put it where the TCK wants it.
It's noon time, or whatever time you're all at.
So you guys go to the next call, and I'm going to ask. Thanks everyone for joining. I am going to ask Hussein, can you on the copy paste with the link, copy paste of the minutes for today's call? There is a thread happening that I started yesterday to remind everyone about this call. And can you send the copy paste of the link and also copy paste of the entire minutes to that thread? Are you able to do that? And just don't add minutes, don't add names, just can you do that?
You can start a new thread, it's fine.
Yeah, or you can start a new thread and
it's usually nice to have the date of the minutes in the subject somewhere.
Yeah, so can you start a new thread and copy paste the link and also copy paste the minutes and send it to the working group forum? Is that cool? Hussein?
Yeah. To the working group.
Yeah.
Not the community?
Send it to the community, it's fine.
Okay, send it to the community with your perspective. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to, but it's so important for us to scale and be transparent and make sure that if no one is joining, like someone else, like
I'm late for my next meeting.
To go. So you guys go ahead, and it's important to go around and share the load. Like Steve, you have some issues today. You can only have the issues if you choose to own the task. Otherwise, you wouldn't be.
Right, totally agree.
Yeah, so this is how we do it. So Hussein, will you do that right now don't procrastinate it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Keep healthy, everyone keep healthy. I will stop recording and it will be added to the Jakarta YouTube mailing list as soon as we have the collateral repo ready to receive the PRs. So thanks everyone. See you next time. Pieces.
Thanks everyone. See you. Bye.